find me in the sacred rooms, helping to save lives and make people avoid the tombs. Penning thoughts ever since my mother's womb. My words are like bullets when the guns go boom. Empire State Crisis. I never profess to be the nicest, just make sure my wisdom's the brightest. Sometimes you have to lose in order to win the hardest. Move the migrants off the block, you can thank ISIS, but I'm on the block still stuck. What's going on, everybody? It's your host, the Crypto Wonder. Hope you're doing well. Let's get right into it. Now, it's never a dull moment in crypto, really. Some periods are more exciting than others, but it's never really actually like nothing's going on. You sort of have to keep remain abreast as to what's going on. Like keep tabs on what's happening in the market, because things move very fast, right? I did a couple live streams this week, and one of the streams, I guess it was my last stream, I touched upon a serious topic, a topic that I take very seriously because of my line of work, when it comes to mental health, right? It hasn't been easy as far as dealing with these markets and the changes and just all the types of behaviors that you see unfold in the market, and basically you as a person have to find where you fit into all of this, right? If you decide to participate, right? And my thing with these markets is how people forget, because like the saying goes, crypto's a solo sport. Shout out to Stunner Breezy. Crypto's a solo sport. You decide what to do, when you do it, how you do it, why you do it, etc., etc. with your own money. No one forces you. So we understand the whole selfish nature of this whole thing, right? The tendency to just think about you. Sure, because it's you, the blockchain, and everyone else. It's you versus everybody. Not just you and somebody else. It's you, and another person, and everyone else. Who that person represents is you and the market, right? So when you see a number that you like, if you've been holding for a while, or if you've been trading, or if you've been doing a little bit of both, you're gonna sell. You're gonna sell. All of a sudden, that turned out to be like this weird thing. Like, people can't take it. They can't take you selling. Years back in different ecosystems, people would say there's no sell shaming. In when you're dealing with legacy, right? Selling is a part of everything that we do here. When you buy, someone is selling. Someone is selling, someone else is buying. But because everything has been reduced to such a mentality of scarcity in the mind of many people in DeFi and in crypto, it's gotten to a point where, people label it things. They call it, your exit liquidity. Everyone is going to be exit liquidity at some point. You're going to perform an act that's going to allow you to exit with your liquidity. I don't care how safe, right, your action is. You have limit orders, okay, because you don't want to damage the chart, all right. You're doing something a little bit more involved or advanced, like single-sided staking, providing liquidity, V3 pools, knowing what you do, tight ranges, close ranges, because you don't want to dump on your quote-unquote friends, okay. But the majority of people don't know about this yet. So it's going to take a long time for people to understand, okay, these are the better, safer ways to, to dump on the market, exiting, coming out of the market without really hurting price. Hurting price, meaning hurting price for anyone else who wants to exit. Hurting price for, for people who have just been holding and want to also basically extract value, basically sell and earn something, get a piece of change, call it profit, call it whatever. But things have gotten to a point in this community where it's like, folks, even now, they're unwilling to see the truth that's just been unfolding on the post-chain side of things with the behaviors of the people, starting from the founder all the way on down to everybody else, all the participants. Because it's like cognitive dissonance seethes throughout this whole situation, right? Denial, right? Avoidance, pretending like you're not witnessing something unfold because it's too painful to accept. Doesn't give you the right, or necessarily it doesn't necessarily mean, it's not about giving you the right, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not taking place. Let me tell you something, right? Like, I've made a decision to be very hypercritical about the founder of Pulse Chain and Hex. I made a decision to be hypercritical these last several months, because I noticed this echo chamber that exists in the community is being chipped away. Is being chipped away, not necessarily for the fact that you're going to have adversarial or contrary points of view, right? You're going to have someone thinking something different than what you're thinking, or opposing your stance. That's natural, I think, right? But this even more so is important. It's pivotal, because I understand both sides of the spectrum and in between. And the part about it that I find sort of like disingenuous to this day is this idea of people still holding on, which it's real, but it's disingenuous because it's dangerous, because you're dealing with money. People are still holding on to this hope that things will turn around. Hope that things will turn around. And it's the undying human need to belong, human need to strive, human need to attain and achieve higher and better and more. And I understand that mentality. I understand that process. But when you see certain factors that are constantly working against you holding on to this hope, that's almost becoming sort of like irrational, you have to pay attention. You have to be careful. You have to understand, now this is becoming dangerous, a dangerous situation. Because what are you a part of now, right? What is it that you're really hoping when you're watching certain things transpire the whole time this whole chain has come out? On the grand scheme of things, I aspire for the chain to be successful. The levels of success that was pitched, sales pitch to the world 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and before Pulse Chain launched, even 2 years ago, right, give or take, is not the sales pitch that we're hearing today. Not necessarily. And what is the sales pitch that I'm talking about? We're not hearing about the blockchain can reach 10,000x anymore. Why do you think that is? If you care, you do the research. You know, draw your own conclusions. But we're not hearing these discussions anymore about some 10,000x, 14,000x, all these thousands and thousands of x's. There's a bunch of reasons why this could be happening. You can speculate till you're blue in the face. It doesn't matter. What matters is there are many of us that have been here this whole time expending energy, spending money, investing time, money, sacrificing, like literally sacrificing, participating. Now, I could say that I've been doing the same thing too, but no, like what I have not been doing is drinking the hopium Kool-Aid. Not to a point where I'm brainwashed. No, because again, I can't dismiss the problems, the challenges, the mistakes, the pitfalls, the weird activities that have taken place throughout this whole time. I can't dismiss it and pretend like this is not all affecting what we're doing as well, or all affecting what's taking place in this in this system, from the founder on down. Okay, going back to the point about mental health, when certain rumors, a rumor, and this is like border teetering on gossip, because I don't know how true this is. This is why I'm not gonna provide definitive information. But what I'm talking about this again today is because, again, this came up on my timeline, but it came up differently, where someone posted about creating another movie, like The Highest of Stakes Part 2. As if The Highest of Stakes Part 1 was a success. They're talking about creating Part 2. And I've spoken, people who've listened to me, you've heard what I've said about it. Like, as far as marketing, it just did not rise to the level of the occasion to bring the success that we're looking for. The movie didn't move the needle and help pump the bags, basically. The movie did not do that. So now they're talking about Part 2. Never mind the fact that Richard Hart, he barked on everybody, was mad and pissed off, and yelled at everyone for spending over $500,000 wrapping the NASCAR car, wrapping the cars that lost the race, and telling the community that they lost their money, they wasted their money, they should do direct marketing. But he never publicly, at least, denounced the filmmaking. Right? Because how successful was that, besides providing some form of entertainment on a surface level? But there's many people who really don't know about Pulse Chain, who really don't know about crypto still, but much less Pulse Chain. Do you think they know about The Highest of Stakes movie Part 1? But now these people are talking about a Part 2. Okay. Scrolling through, and I'm reading the comments in that thread about Part 2. Most of the people were displeased. We're saying, no, don't come out with a movie. Don't have this billionaire fund it. He doesn't need to be in the movie. These people that, this whole thing was cringe. It was not well received. The responses that the guy received, the person who posted it, received a lot of vitriol from the people. They said, no, don't even waste your time and put another movie out. Not gonna watch it, all that kinds of stuff. One person posted, is there going to be any mention or some type of moment to acknowledge people who basically hurt themselves to the point where they no longer live here, no longer exist anymore. They basically, what they say on the YouTube, so not to have your channel flagged or whatever, people who have unalived themselves in the community, will they receive a moment of acknowledgement in the film, credit in the film, something? Now this is the second time this week that the theme came up, and it just presented itself to me, and I said to myself, this right here, this is where it just reaffirms a lot of things that I've thought about over the years, that I've spoken about over the years, and it's about how none of this is a game. This is not a game. This is something that we should be taking very serious and not play with. As far as our time, as far as our money, right? And we should hold people to task. Just like we hold ourselves, we should be holding ourselves accountable, first and foremost, always, for the decisions that we make. Personal accountability and responsibility is just priority number one, in my opinion. But we should also hold others equally accountable for their own actions and how what they do, right, can impact, right, for a positive or for the negative. When you're talking about a community of people launching sacrifices, you can't control what people do, right? We understand this, right? You can't tell people necessarily what to do and don't do. But what you can do is choose not to support, right? As a participant, as a viewer, as a potential victim, because you could call yourself a retail investor, you could call yourself a supporter, you could call yourself a sacrificer, right? A fan. But you could also call yourself not supporting something that you don't really think is right, and you don't think it's even necessary that right? It's not worth your time or money. Because a lot of people don't take things the same. People deal with all kinds of stress daily, every day in their lives, and everything is not met the same. People have their own threshold, right? People have their own ability to bear different levels of stress. What may stress someone else out may not stress me out, for example. And what might stress me out may not stress someone else out. So you don't know where a person is standing and where they are mentally, and how they're dealing with what they're dealing with. And especially, and it becomes much more complicated, strangely enough, on the internet, where nothing is tangible, but everything becomes so heightened. Imagine a space where you can't touch anybody, right? Is a place where people become addicted. A place where, it's completely intangible, but now you have an opportunity to connect with people throughout all parts of the world and talk about how to make money using code. And how one thing that you type can send ripple effects, can affect someone on the other side of the planet that you might never meet, and cause them to do something and you'll never know it. This is what we're doing here, playing with this cryptocurrency stuff, and then creating platforms and communicating and free speech and movement and all this and that. And folks want to just have a good time, but no, you got a bunch of people that just want to make sure that they are the only ones who are getting rich. They're the only ones that have the inside information, and it's forget about everybody else. Everyone else could forever be exit liquidity in complete and absolute perpetuity. How do you think some people who don't have the mental fortitude, who are just not strong, how do you think they can deal with that? When you have people that suffer different types of struggles and addictions and weaknesses, who gamble, right? Who use illicit substances, who get involved with all kinds of weird, shady criminal activities. They're not even necessarily have to be criminal, but you could still be a victim of all kinds of social ills. You think they're going to be able to deal with some type of propaganda, social engineering that's taking place on the internet? There's these levels of psychological operations and operatives that you know, these provocateurs and agents that move and do certain things on purpose to get you to sell, to get you to react a certain way on purpose. People who don't have the strength within themselves to be able to discern between truth and imposter might not react the same like someone else who's been in the market and understands the stressors that come with it and understand how things go up and down. They understand how difficult it is and been battle tested. Someone else just coming in, or they might have been here a long time too, but they just not strong enough. And guess what happens? They take their own lives because they've given up, or whatever reason. But people, we don't think about these types of things, right? Because that's just too dark. So now it doesn't relate to you if you don't know nothing. You know, got nothing to do. These things happen, and it's crazy to know that these things have happened, and the theme keeps coming up. And I even was discover names of profiles of individuals in the community that's this happened to. I don't know if it's true or not. That's why I'm not going to give certain information, because if it is true, and you have people who are grieving those, it's condolences to their loved ones. This is why when I see the immature, cringeworthy behavior from people who are supposed to be adults in this community, how they perform and they act over 2 years later since the chain launched, and this is where we are. And then you have a founder who seems like he's so disconnected from the real aspects, the fundamental aspects of why you have seeds of dissension, of why you have people who disagree. You don't want to really tackle the reasons why your community is no longer one collective. It's fractured and irreparable. It won't go back to what it is before, because times have changed. It'll never be what it once was, right? But you have a leader who just doesn't think that's important to focus on. Imagine. The person just does not, I don't know whether he thinks it's important. You would praise someone who the community sees to be a scammer and a grifter. The founder would praise what they call a key opinion leader, KOL, who the community for the most part sees as a grifter, a scammer, an opportunist. You would praise that. You'd praise people who've been caught simply doing bad things in the community. Show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. The founder, right, would praise individuals like that. At least one individual like that. Fill in the blanks.
Whoever knows, you know. If you know, you know. But fill in the blanks. Think about anybody who I'm talking to that this story fits, and put it in the comment section. But would not acknowledge how you had people who've been unwavered and want to buy into the thoughts and the principles and the ideas that he sold or he pitched to the world, who've been still to this day want to really practice what crypto is really supposed to be about. No middlemen, no third parties, delayed gratification, immutable code, not your keys, not your crypto, right? No admin keys, all this and that, all this and that. Stake it till you make it. All this and that. It's quiet for that collective. That collective doesn't even get any type of support. And if you're going through life stressors, do you think he has empathy to even acknowledge that? If you're going through any type of struggle, because the bottom line is, even your more popular voices in this community that's on the internet, that does streams, your more popular voices, y'all call them influencers and key opinion leaders, KOLs, the more popular ones, the ones that have bigger followings, even they are acknowledging how people in the community are hurt. For the most part, you have some who are still, successful and doing well, but many are hurt. Do you think this guy has enough wherewithal or cares enough to even acknowledge that? Not only that the people are hurt, and to know that he knows, he acknowledges, because people want to understand that you can connect with them, that you connect with what's going on, right? That you could feel, you could align with them. Do you think he has enough wherewithal to sympathize for loved ones of people who may or may not have committed suicide behind this? You understand? This is why it's like, come on, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, what are we dealing with here? You ultimately decide what's good for you. Recently in my comments, I've just been hearing, we gonna make it, these and I respect all the positive input and feedback I've been getting in the comment section, and we gonna make it, chin up and all this. Look, this is not necessarily for me when I create the content. I've been doing this, I've been in crypto since 2017. Like, I've seen the good, bad, and ugly, and I'm still here. It's not necessarily for me. Again, I create content for the people, for the world, if anyone ever cares. And I ultimately leave every time by saying, for the most part, with the understanding of, you decide what you want to do and what's good for you. My plan may not be good for you. Your plan may not be good for me. But everything you see isn't what it necessarily is or supposed to be, right? We create thoughts in our minds. We create ideas from what we're seeing and perceive, and et cetera, and that might not necessarily be the real. That might not necessarily be the truth. And this is what I'm discovering, unfortunately, with what's going on over here. I want to see what's going to take for Hex to reach its all-time high or surpass it again. I want to see what's it really going to take for Pulse Chain to really do what it has to do, right? I don't care if Richard has to pump the bags or not, because that guy sort of like, he's not the same person. Like, what the idea I had about him is not the same anymore. So my feelings for him severely changed. Like, it's just, I don't trust everything he says based on his actions and based on his inaction. period. It's me. But doesn't mean I'm selling and I'm dumping, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, because I understand things happen for a reason. You know? Others buy into what he got going on, believe in him 100%. Is you know, they're gonna die on the hill with, by all means. Do what you gotta do. But one thing I'm gonna always do, no, not always. Let me not say that. One thing I am not gonna do is pretend, right? Ignore, right? And deny the misgivings, the mishaps, the mistakes that have occurred and that are affecting what's going on the chain to this day. That's part of the reason why everything is where it's at right now. I don't say that's all of the reason. I say it's part of the reasons why. Because of the flaws, because of the missteps, the mistakes, the problems. Even you know, some people would just say the straight up lies, the straight up supporting, conniving scammers and grifters, not denouncing them, not denouncing bad behavior, not lending yourself in a way where you let the people know that, you know, you're really there for the people, instead of talking about how you're the best thing, you're the giving tree, you're this and that. Well, there are people that have tatted, right, your thought by way of a coin. They tatted themselves with coins you launched. Like, there's people that really want to believe in what he's talked about and have so-called changed their lives, not so-called, but actually changed their lives behind his words. So the least you can do is show face, and not literally. You don't have to do a stream or whatever, but show face, figuratively speaking, and connect with those and let them know that you feel where they're coming from. Because if you don't, that just further solidifies my stance and maybe even my thought and thinking that he's really not connected to the people like folks may want to believe. He's really not connected. In fact, he's disconnected. Just imagine if someone you've onboarded took their own lives because of circumstances and things related to this chain. You understand? Oh, it hits different. It hits different. It affects you differently. God forbid anybody who hears this has to go through that. Right? And then you hear a founder carrying on like the way this man is carrying on, in a sense where you don't show that you really are in tune or attuned to the pulse of the market. You're not attuned to your supporters, the people who you're trying to save, the people that you want to come to you so they can thrive, the loved ones who may have been still a part of this community who lost people due to those unfortunate, dastardly, tragic circumstances. To hear some kind of words of encouragement, it might go a long way. But when that's absent from a person like you, sir, it says a lot. There's no more that needs to be said. Except what? What can a person like me expect to hear? Oh, I already know. You gotta do some more marketing. Of course.